Everyone, Dr.S.USHARANI, Assistant Professor in Economics, teacher in the Research Department of Economics. Introductions: Urban Economics. Urban economics is broadly the economic study of urban areas. Such it involves using the tools of economics to analyze urban issues, such as crime, education, public transit, housing, and local government finance. Scope of urban economics. Urban economics concentrate on the economic relationship and processes that contribute to the important spatial characteristics of urban and regional economics, especially to the size, density of settlement, and the structure and pattern of land use. Sources of urban growth. The nature increase in populations, migrations, industrializations, commercializations, advancement of transport and communication. Availability of educational and recreational facilities, urban planning policies, topographical factors. Natural increase in population, the rate of death and birth characterize the natural expansion of an area in areas where birth are more than death. The population is bound to increase. People who migrate to town and cities or young people searching for housing, job or better education. Migration. If migration is a major contributor to the increase in the populations of a place, many people are forced to move to urban areas for job, education and housing. Inadequate funding and social infrastructure have also driven people to urban areas. In other cases, political, racial, economic or religious conflict have forced people to move to neighboring urban areas. Industrialization. The industrial revolutions brought about new production technique. By this, manufacturing has created more job opportunities by allowing people to be employed in new sectors. With modern farm machinery, employment in rural areas is reduced, forcing workers to move in search of new jobs in tertiary and manufacturing industries. Commercialization. Various industrializations played an essential role in the growth of urban areas. Commerce and trade have profoundly influenced the growth of cities. In ancient times, cities like Athens, Sparta and Venice were great commercial centers. Advanced transport and communication. When factories were introduced, local transportation was weak, forcing the laborers to reside the near place of work. The cities were partitioned into dwelling areas, market areas, factory areas, slums and so on. Availability of educational and recreational facilities. When factories were introduced, local transportation was weak, forcing the laborer to reside near the place of work. The cities were partitioned into dwelling areas, market area, factory areas, slums and so on. As housing prices in San Francisco increases, middle-class residents move outwards to Oakland across the bay. As Oakland prices also increase, people look again to move outwards. Further expanding into other small cities nearby, Harlem in New York City is another example. Urban growth in scenarios predict a substantial increase in population and growth for many regions of the world. The replacement of wasted land and repairing the habitats with impervious surfaces such as roads, rooftops and lawns alters the hydrology and geography and streams. Urbanization economics. Urbanization is the process increasing proportions of people living into town and cities. Urbanization occurs because people move from rural areas, countryside, to urban areas, town and cities. This usually occurs when a country is still developing. Urbanizations and globalization. Globalization has contributed further to movement of people and resources, creating tension and overpopulation in some parts and reductions in other. It is inevitable that overpopulation and urbanization leading to overcrowding have been shown to have negative consequences on people's physical and mental health. International migration. International migration occurs when people cross state boundaries and stay in the host state for some minimum length of the time. Migration occurs for many reasons. Many people leave their home countries in order to look for economic opportunities in other countries. An example of international migration is the high number of people who move from India to other countries. How India is seeking greater economic opportunities, particularly in the area of science, technology, engineering, and math. Urbanizations and agglomeration of economies. Urbanization has to with the agglomerations across industries boundaries. The idea is that the presence of firms in one industry attract firms in other industries. Urbanization economics lead to the development of large diversities with plentiful jobs and amenities that attract a skilled labor force. Urban labor market. Urban labor market are strongly differentiated according to gender, race, ethnicity, and class. These labor market segmentations concentrate black and Asians in a narrow set of occupation, and the particular occupations very high gender. Pull factors in migrations are factors that attract people to urban areas. Example, good employment opportunities. In cities, push factors in migrations are factors that drive people from countryside. Example, lack of sufficiently productive land to make a good living. Process of suburbanization. Urbanization is the process through which cities grow and higher percentage of the populations come to live in the city. Main process of urbanization through various aspects of urbanization in different countries, including economic growth and development, demographic change, social transformations, reshaped and strengthened urban spaces and shrinking cities. All over the world, a growing proportions of the population live in cities. In 2012, 52.5% lived in urban areas. The share of urban population was projected to have increased to 56.9% in 2022. It is generally higher in the developed 79.7% in 2022 than in the developing world 52.3%. Urban population change, like that of all populations, is the sum of the natural increase but minus death and net migrations minus migration. Marshall 1920 suggests the three sources. First one is increasing of scale within the form of production expands. Number two, a parallel labor market cluster with improves the search of workers with the skill the firms need, integrated labor market. And third one, the existence of knowledge spillovers within the industries will generate urbanization and labor market. Labor market consists of three sectors. Rural workers constitute over 60% of the workforce. Organized sector employ 80% of the workforce, producing 40% of GDP, but it is employment share declining. Urbanization is the process of population shift from rural areas to cities. During the last century, global population have urbanized rapidly. 13% of people live in urban environment. In the year 19,002.29% of people lived in urban environment in the year 1950.19. Major problems of urbanization in India. Some of the major problems of urbanization in India. First one, urban sprawl, overcrowding, housing, unemployment, slum and squatter settlement, transport, water, sewerage problems, trash disposal, urban crimes, problem of urban pollution. India is one of the less urbanized countries of the world, which only 27.78% of their population living in urban agglomerations towns. This country is facing a serious crisis of urban growth at the present time. Various urbanization has been an instrument of economic, social and political progress. It has led to serious socio-economic problems. The sheer magnitude of the urban population have absorbed and unplanned growth of urban areas and a disparate lack of infrastructure are the main causes of such situations. The rapid growth of urban population, both natural and through migration, has put heavy pressure on public utilities like housing, sanitation, transport, water, accessibility, health, education, and so on. Poverty, unemployment and underemployment among the rural migrations recognize uh, Burglars is another social evils are ravaged. Urban sprawl is encouraging the precious agricultural land. The urban populations of land have already crossed the 285 million mark by 2001. By 2030, more than 50% of India's population is expected to live in urban areas. Urban sprawl. Urban sprawl really real expansion of cities, but in populations and the geographical area of rapidly growing cities in the root of chaos of urban problems. In most cities, the economic base is capable of dealing with the problems created by their excessive size. Massive migration from rural areas as well as from small towns into big cities has taken place at almost consistently, thereby adding to the size of cities. The first large flow of migration from rural to urban areas was during the depressions of late 1930s when people migrated in search for jobs. Later, during the decade 1941-51, another a million persons moved to urban places in response to wartime industrializations and partitions and of the country in 1947. During 1991-2001, well over 2 million people migrated to cities. The greatest pressure of migrating population has been felt in the central district of the city, the old city, where the migrations flow to the relative and friends before they search for housing. Population's density beyond the old city declined sharply. This is due to the fact that such as large cities act as magnet and attract large number of immigrations by dint of the employment opportunities and modern way of life. Such hyper penetrations lead to projected cities, size of which differ imaginations. Delhi, Mumbai, Calcutta, Chennai, Bangalore, etc. are examples of urban sprawl due to large-scale migrations schooled from the surrounding areas. In several big cities, wealthy people are constantly moving from the crowded centers of the cities to the most pleasant suburbs where they can build large scans and enjoy the space and privacy, a garden around the house. Here sometimes the outskirts are also added by these quarters by they have no legal right to the world. The difficulty of restricting town growth in either is immense of most owns and cities surrounded by wide regions of suburbs. The type of development is known as infill. Simultaneously, small towns and villages within the community. Distance of major cities are also developed for residence purpose. In this way, towns are continuously growing and in some areas, the suburb of a number of neighboring. Almost continuous people, the urban belt is called. Collaborations of urban sprawl is taking place at the cost of a valuable agricultural land. Overcrowding. Overcrowding is a situation in which too many people live in too little space. Overcrowding is a logical consequences of naturally expected that cities having a large size of populations is skewness in a small space but suffer from overcrowding. This is well exhibited by almost of the building of cities. For example, Mumbai has 1/6 of acre open space where 1,000 population though 4 acres is suggested stand by the master plan of Greater Mumbai metropolitan city. India has overcrowded both in the sense that these cities have real growth identified, relative in the sense that even the distinction are not very high. The problems democrats, Delhi and other facilities cities of the methods required success. For example, Mumbai has 1/6 of an open space per thousands population, therefore, acres is suggested standard by the master plan of Greater Mumbai metropolitan cities of India are overcrowded, but absolute and relative terms. Absolute relative terms, relative in these sense that even the densities are not very high. The problem of providing services and other facilitate to this city dwells wants it so on. Delhi has population density of 9.430 persons per kilometer census 2001, which is the highest in India. This is the overall population density of the urban territory of Delhi, population density of the central part of the Delhi. Could be much higher. Infrastructural the facility like housing, electricity, water, and developing the rising town has not met with the required success. Housing, overcrowding leads to chronic problems of shortage of houses in urban areas. This population is especially more acute in those urban areas where there is a large influx for the unemployed or unemployment migrations who have no place live in when their intercities, towns or surrounding areas. An India sample survey 1959 indicated that 44% of urban households as compared to 34% of rural families occupy the one room or less. Large cities, the proportions of families occur one room or less was high 60%. The Raleigh Chandler 1962. Moreover, the current rate of housing construction is very slow, which make the problem further complicated. Indian cities require annually about 2.5 million new developing, but also then 50% of the requirement is being concentrated. The census of India 2001 concluded the first ever and the largest survey of husband, amenities and access of problem relating the India. The outcomes is both instructive and assuming, which talking India is the methods there about the residence house, that is observe the people of each house. Unemployment. The problem of unemployment is too less serious than the problems of housing. Mentioned above, urban unemployment in India is essential 15 to 25% of the labor force. It is estimated that about half of the educated urban employed are concentrate in four the Delhi, Mumbai, Calcutta and Chennai. Furthermore, although urban economics are higher than the rural economy or impossibility, low income, high cost of living in urban area. One of the major causes of urban unemployment is the largest scale migration of people from rural urban areas. Rural urban migration has been continued for a pretty long with, but it has always been as a great of problems. The problems, the story, the general poverty, that is among the rural people pushes the migrants in search of livelihood on the people of the better living. But the growth of economic opportunities fails to keep pace with the quantum of immigration. The limited capacity of urban areas would not be the rapid growth of urban labor force, though efforts empower the central and the state governments to create employment opportunities. So in rural areas and check the large scale in rural urban areas. Slums and squatter settlement. The natural scale of the unchecked, the unplanned and opposite of growth of urban areas is the growth and speed slums and squatter settlement, which is present here. Features of micrological ecological structure of Indian cities, especially for the metropolitan cities. All notified slums by state government under my act. All areas recognized as slum by state government which have not been formally notified as slum under any act. A compact area of at least 300 production or about 60.70 household are poorly built consistent tenements in the hygienic environment as usually with inadequate infrastructure and banking, locking in proper sanitary and drinking water facilities. Socially, slums tend to be isolated from the rush of urban society and exhibit pathological social symptoms, drug abuse, alcoholism, crime, vandalism, and other deviant behavior of the lack of integrations of slum inhabitants. Integration simulates both of cultural factors. India slums are two-room hutments, mostly occupying government and public lands. Our system has in slow slums are built in or the sheets, steels, bamboo, mods, polythene. The gunny backs of it teachers divide the windows of the enterprises and public utility services. Social characteristics. Most of the quarter household belong to lower income. They vary predominantly migrations, but many are also migration is about the also second in the third generation quarters. Such alternates log land ownership. From the above discussion is clear that Sparta free about the discussions. It is clear that Sparta refers to legal positions of the settlement and slums refers to the contributions of legal characteristics and settlement. A distinction has to be drawn between squatter settlement and the shanty towns. Legality of structure is also landmark of these squatter betterment defined by their fiber centralist towns. Result mainly from massive rural authorities have to provide the facilitate and employment for a vast influence of people from rural to urban areas. Indian cities are about with the slum, which have been termed as ice. A rush on cities to this recharge, but no, and civilization, etc. But they have Delhi much more health hazards for its infrastructure. Poverty stricken inhabited and are also for the city as a whole. The most shocking aspect of aggravating often the data on slum populations in India according to data related to the 6.97 towards cities in 26. Census of India for the first time 2001. They came out with this detailed data on slum population in India according to date. This is real by Census of India 2001 607 towns and cities. End of the Industrial Union territories was represented for populations. No slum population has been reported in the remaining 9 2021 Andhra Pradesh 76 towns reporting slum populations. This is followed by Uttar Pradesh, Tamil Nadu 63, Maharashtra 62, West Bengal 51, Madhya Pradesh 72, the distribution towns with the slum populations. The largest slum populations of 10.6 million has been reported from Maharashtra, followed by Andhra Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, and West Bengal. Tamil Nadu 2.5 million, Madhya Pradesh 2.4 million, and death 2.25 million. Shops and more people travel to work or shop. Transport. With a traffic bottleneck and traffic congestions, almost all cities and towns of India are suffering from acute form of transport problem. Transport problems increase and become more complex. Town grown in size. With this growth, the ownership on verified and complex functions and more travel and workshop. As the town becomes larger, even following people living within the build-up area have to travel by car, but to store the town outside naturally bring the cost of travel by public commercial vehicles such as vans and though will make the problem of traffic no compulsions. Such area include the role leading to factories, office, towns, etc., which will be tracked with people in morning and evening. Minor shopping centers which grow up, suburbs, suburb promoting areas, entertainment district, which in the will be used at night roads, leading to residential and community flock. The cities the morning has two name of the every things and evenings, the home in the evenings. Water. Water is one of the most essential elements of nature of sustain life and right from the beginning. Of urban civilization systems or settlement how always has been chosen keeping in very availability of water. Through the inhabitants of the settlement, however, supply of water start filling, start demand as the growing in size or number. Thank you.